All right, welcome back to the Run.down Postgame show here on the Strickland YouTube channel. If you're listening to this the day after the Strickland Podcast Network, I am Sam. I'm joined by Schwinn and Jeff. Knicks lose 114-98. Score doesn't tell the full story of the game. But yeah, before we get into all that, the last of the major pro sports leagues kicked off actually within the last couple of weeks. And BetOnline is your top spot for all your NBA action this season, with MLB postseason, which already finished, NFL and college football, and NHL in full swing. BetOnline is your number one source for wagering news, odds, trends, and predictions. Get everything NBA at your fingertips with both desktop and mobile access for every sport, anytime. Head to the BetOnline app today to get on the action. Don't forget to use promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, where the game starts. All right, so, we already kind of knew this game was going to be a rough game. No RJ Barrett. We kind of seen how this team performs without RJ Barrett this year. He's kind of been, I want to say, our best player. That's fair to say, right? This year, or at least our most consistent offensive.
Yeah, offensively for sure.
Yeah, he's been our most consistent offensive performer. So we knew we were going to take a hit on that end tonight. And we knew there was going to be a little bit, of course, some lumps defensively because he's been consistently good defensively as well. And we knew that, of course, Josh Hart was going to start. And man, did Josh Hart start and did Josh Hart play? What was it, 42 minutes we were talking about before we got on here? There was some okay stretches from Josh Hart tonight, but there was also some really brutal stretches. Those were really, really loud. And we'll get into all that. But yeah, it was a rough night and it wasn't a fun game to watch. So where do you guys want to start? Because we got Julius, we got Hart, we got a lot to get to.
I just think Julius, again, I hate doing this after every game, but throughout this game, you just see exactly all the plays, all the moments, all this micro decisions that ultimately against the best teams are not going to fly. And
it's what you were saying last post game.
That stretch at the end of the first half was ridiculous. He takes an awful pull-up three, and then he's fucking posing what's the name of that movie? Why can't I think of the movie? She makes the joke. Whatever, I'll figure it out. Love and basketball. There we go. And he's posing, and Pritchard goes back. He doesn't even fake run. When he realizes Pritchard is already back there and Tatum's about to throw it to him, he doesn't even fake run. He just kind of okay. And it's just that play. He had that one in what was it? Might have been in the fourth or the third quarter where he's it's an end of clock situation. It's a bad spot to be in. I get it. He's got his back to the basket. Quickly's in front of him, wide open, clapping, asking for the ball. And then he spins back. It's just
there were a lot of plays from Julius tonight where he was late in the shot clock. He's dribbling. And
then he had that one in transition where I'm I don't even know what you're doing here. He had Porzingis beat, but then he tried to put up some weird floater because he's worried about Derek White. I don't know. That was a weird one. His start to the game defensively, he did pick it up as the game went on, but his start to the game defensively was really bad. And he had a couple of awful moments on Hauser, where he was just oh, okay, so who is this guy? I don't know who he is. I'm not going to defend him.
It's insane that they keep putting Julius on all these shooters, and he's always losing them. And they're it's
actually really, really smart of the Celtics.
Yeah.
Anytime there's a cross match, anytime there's an opportunity for a cross match, it's they all have the memo to attack or to move, because anytime Julius ended up on Pritchard or Hauser or even Derek White, and I know Derek White didn't do anything until the end offensively, they're all you can just watch. It's so funny to watch because Julius just stands there and they're okay, I can get open, and it happens all the time. I thought we saw a pretty nice juxtaposition between good Julius and bad Julius tonight. The stuff that we know he's good at and that makes him a really valuable, especially offensive player, we saw tonight. We saw him draw doubles. We saw create offense against a really good defense in a game where creating offense was really hard. That shouldn't go unsaid. There were stretches where Julius was backpacking an efficient offense and was creating good looks possession after possession. But then there were also stretches where his slow processing and his carelessness and his inefficiency all poked their head. So
and those are much louder than the other ones.
Yeah, it was a really interesting Julius game to me because the thing we always talk about is like, how can you, when does this stop? When does it go away? And if the answer is never, if the answer is you just have to live with these warts, I just don't know how you win with the guy. Like, I don't. And last thing I'll say, wait, Schwinn, just let me finish. The last thing I'll say before I hand it over to Schwinn, I said this last game, can the bar start being higher? If you're so high on Julius Randle, there's no fucking way you can come out of this game, a game when he defended overall terribly and was 7 of 19 and led the team in turnovers. You can't just be like, oh, everyone's too hard on him. Like, dude, he's an all-NBA player. He's supposed to be – this can't be his best game of the season. That's ridiculous. Sorry, Schwinn, take over.
No, I don't really think there's anything to talk. Like, this is what Julius Randle is. It is his 10th year in the NBA. This is what he is. You can tell me he's coming back from an injury, and that's fine. I get that. Like, he's probably going to get better because that's what will happen, and that's the reality of how it works. Because, you know, he'll get stronger, his conditioning will pick up and whatever. But the errors he makes, so many of the errors he makes are just, that's what he is. Like, he's processing is not going to get better. He's not all of a sudden going to see passes that he never sees. Like, I can't tell you how many times this year already I have seen him, like, look. He does this new one. This new one drives me absolutely fucking insane because I haven't seen it's like works 1 out of every 10 times he tries it. When he jumps in the air, he has a guy in the corner that he can pass to, and instead he tries to do this dump off pass to Mitch. And it never works. It didn't work again today. They got, luckily, I guess Porzingis kicked it. But like, it's an awful pass. It has such a low risk of working. And like, he constantly tries to force these passes into Mitch where I'm like, okay, your intention is good, but it kind of,
you got to know your personnel.
It just doesn't matter if your intention is good at a certain point. Like I'm so sick and tired of talking, like evaluating Julius's process. Again, the guy is in his 10th year in the NBA. He's 28 years old. This is not a developing player. This is not somebody who has not had five. This is his 5th year now of being a number 1 option on a team. Okay. Like, this is him. This is what he is as a player. So there's really no point in debating it. We don't need to debate that he falls asleep on defense. We don't need to debate that he's going to have stupid processing issues in certain games. We don't need to debate that he's probably going to make some weird decisions when he's in the paint. This is what he is. It's what he is as a player. So all I can say is that I hope RJ is better soon, because what I think is winning us games right now is the starting lineup functions in its own weird way that it functions. And it works. They're very effective. Okay. They're very effective when it's not Josh Hart, when it's RJ. They're very effective. And then the bench functions really, really well with RJ. But when you take RJ out right now, Randle comes in that second quarter. That was his time. It's my time. I got it. It's my time to get my numbers up. That's what he did. That's how he played. I'm sure there are people like, oh, you don't want to blame Quickly. Quickly just missed shots. He missed shots. There's really nothing to debate. He missed shots. Didn't have a good game. I'm not talking about missing shots. I'm talking about your decisions, how you're playing within the group, within the group, right? Like Josh Hart, when he plays with that bench unit, especially when RJ is with him at the 3 and the 4, his unwillingness to shoot is a lot less problematic than it is when he's starting, right? So decisions the value of decisions can change based on the environment you're in. Randle's decisions and his kind of, I don't know how to, he likes to exert his authority when he feels he has the opportunity to exert the authority. And I'm not talking about necessarily like, oh, he senses like a weak opponent. No, I'm talking about like when if he feels like, 1, I have the opportunity, yes, it's a weaker opponent, but 2, like, oh, like Brunson's not out here, RJ's not out here, it's my time to shine. Like, and it's so ridiculous because if he would let Quickly just initiate a little bit, he would get so many better shots. He would get better shots.
I mean, this brings me to him bringing up the ball when they're pressuring, when the Celtics decide to amp things up, and he is bringing up the ball instead of quickly, and that completely drains the shot clock, leads to all these terrible possessions. It's just insane.
It wasn't just when Quickly was on the floor either. I don't know what was going on today. Brunson kept throwing it to him to bring the ball up the floor too. He had a possession where he brought it up, he ran a pick and roll, immediately got like, I think like Tatum either stole it or whatever it was, but like we played like a very weird game. It felt very disjointed. I also don't really know what the hell Brunson was doing in like, what was it? It might have been either the end of the third quarter or start of the fourth, where like it's a lineup with like him and Quickly and whatever, DiVincenzo, Hart. Like you kind of have to like run the show there. Like you have to do it quickly. He brought the ball up. This 2 possessions where he brings the ball up, throws it to Hart, and then he clears to the corner with Quickly, and Hart's like
insane.
Gonna run a pick and roll with Hartenstein. I think the first time was when he did that weird ass play where he got it back, threw it off of Holiday and made a 3, which is an awesome play, by the way. But like he did it again the second time. I think Tibbs was pissed because he was like, he had them call a timeout, and I'm sure he's probably like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, this is not a play that we ever want to run, and we never want to put Josh Hart in this situation. I love him. And the last thing I'm going to say is I love Josh Hart. Josh Hart of 42 minutes a night is not a good player. I don't care what the situation is, unless you're like obviously serious foul trouble, whatever. Josh Hart for 42 minutes on a night is not a positive player. Josh Hart is a 30-minute a night guy, max. That's what he is. Okay? That's what he is. That's the role he's good in. That's where he can give you value. You play him at 42 minutes, you're pushing the envelope. And I thought he played. I saw somebody in the comments say like he played an awful game or whatever. Like, I don't think he played an awful game. I think you're pushing a guy to his boundaries and past them, and then you're evaluating him on that, and that's unfair to him. And like
situation.
And it would be one thing if like Grimes had played 33 minutes or whatever. Like Grimes actually got hot in the third quarter after he suddenly was like, oh, I guess I should shoot the ball. Like, yeah, dude, you should probably shoot the fucking ball. It's a good thing. Like, and then he got pulled for like, what was it? Like 15 minutes or something? Like he didn't play until the game was over, basically. He didn't come back in until the game was over. And like, I'm sorry, Josh Hart was doing what? Like, if the reasoning was we need Josh for defense, Tatum cooked in the entire game. And I'm not even mad at Josh Hart for that. Tatum is just a bad matchup. Like, Tatum also just cooks a lot of guys. Like, that's what Jason Tatum does, you know? So I just like, it was just a really weird game. I also want to make clear, like, I don't think this is a game that we should be super, like, I don't think you need to be super upset about this game or concerned long-term or whatever. Like, there are issues that this game reveals that are just facts. And honestly, these games, they reveal things that the Knicks will need to address for sure long-term. But this was, look, they played a really strong team without a guy who's ostensibly been at the worst their second best player this season, and they didn't have the juice, and that happens. Like, they just did not have it. Boston played a really good game, and Tatum went off, and take the L and you move on. But like, as far as like the Julius stuff and Hart's usage, I think those have nothing to do with like Boston played a really good game. Those are just self-inflicted, and in Julius's case, it's like, it is what it is. Like, I just don't have the energy to get upset about it anymore, because this is what he is as a player. Julius Randle is what he is. He's really good. He'll probably help you win a lot of regular season games, and in the biggest moments against the best teams, he's never going to be good enough in the role he plays. I don't care what you believe. I don't care if you believe that, if you believe that Julius Randle is waiting to unleash some higher level of like, he's going to get to the playoffs now, not piss his pants and all of a sudden be super efficient and kill it. Like, okay. Yeah, no, I mean, more power to you. I wish I had that belief, but I don't. So I'm kind of just hoping that he hits a level that around what we saw last year. We get to the playoffs, maybe win a round, and at some point in the future, after the season is over, maybe a change will be made. But I don't expect much more than that.
I thought Sam made a really good point when he talked about how the Celtics pressure forced the Knicks to start their offense later in the shot clock. I think that exposes a bigger problem with the Knicks, which is that their core principles work up to a certain point. But this is the thing we've talked about, is they need to have a plan B when teams throw different looks at them that worse teams don't. And so the Celtics did two things tonight that I think threw the Knicks off, and they just didn't have an answer. And the two things they did were pressure full court so that the Knicks couldn't just easily get into their offense. And then they switched everything. So the Knicks the collapses didn't really matter. And there were no advantages being created. It forced them to play more one-on-one, and the Knicks just didn't have a second option or an answer. It was
I think very specifically, more than switching everything, at least what I noticed they started doing in the second half when they kind of made their run was they put Holiday on the 5. Especially when Randle wasn't in, especially they put Holiday on the 5 so that when Brunson or Quickly or whoever would inevitably on the Knicks ask for a screen, Holiday would just switch onto it, and it's like, okay, well, fuck, now I did nothing. This sucks. And I think that really screwed up the Knicks a bit too. But like, look, I'm not too worried about that because I think the Knicks have counters for that. Like, and we've seen, and that's kind of why today was just so weird to me. The way they used Josh Hart, especially, was odd to me because I was like, okay, they're putting Holiday on the 5. Cool. Go have Hart screen. Like, go have Hart be the primary screener. And we've seen them do that. Like, we saw them do that last year against Miami to a lot of success. We've seen them do that against Cleveland. It was just, it was kind of odd to me, I guess, today to see how little they used non-5 screens to create advantages. I thought that was really weird today, especially given what you're talking about. Yes, the Celtics did start switching a lot. So that was an issue. And then you also just saw, like, to your point about what it exposed, I think Grimes is a really good standstill spot up 3-point shooter, right? We all know this. And I'm all, look, we can sit here and blame Julius for 5,000 different things we want. I think you can see in some instances where Julius is like in the paint, he's looking for a kick out, and Grimes is just standing in the corner. He's just standing there. And it's like, dude, you have to like move to create the angle for a pass. And I'm not just trying to single out Grimes because I don't think it's just him. But like, you saw a lot of that today where it was like somebody would be in the paint and it's like, okay, if you move like 2 steps to your right, you have a wide open 3 and nobody's moving. And I think that's part of coaching probably too, but it's also just like guys need to understand that themselves, and like we've talked about this a lot. That's one thing with RJ that I've always thought he's really good at it. Going back to college, he might not be a good shooter. And I mean, he is a great shooter right now, but even if you don't think he's a good shooter and he hasn't been a good shooter for most of his career, he is really, really good about finding space and making himself available for a pass. And the Knicks really missed that tonight on top of like Josh Hart. Again, you play him 42 minutes. I just don't really have I don't have the energy to shit on Josh Hart right now because I just think like he's getting put in situations that, yeah, man, you play anybody that amount of time, like you're putting them into more situations in a football or in a basketball game than like they ideally should be in. And so that will always expose them. So, yeah, look, I think this is probably a good, I'm not trying to make it a moral victory, but it is probably like a good experience and a good kind of thing for the Knicks to go through this. And also it's worth noting, which I mentioned a lot of times, the Knicks have had a really tough start to the year. And also like they have traditionally not started super well under Tibbs. They probably started better than they have in the past, at least in terms of underlying metrics. So like, I don't think anybody should be like alarmed by this game or anything. It was a tough game. They didn't have RJ. It happens.
The Josh Hart thing. You go, Jeff.
Sorry. No, I was just gonna say I gotta hop off, so I just wanted to say one more thing. I thought it was Schwinn brought up quickly shooting and how it was from an output standpoint, it was a bad game. Obviously, you can't go 1 for 10 and have it be a good game. If I was going to be critical of him for something beyond the shooting, I thought he created a lot of good opportunities for the Knicks offense really early on, and shots just didn't fall either off his pass or off his shot. Like he had one where he dusted Derek White and got into and like that's like a 90% look for him, and he just blew the layup.
I think
And then
Porzingis affected that shot. Porzingis had a big impact on this game too, by the way.
Really yeah. But then like once the shots weren't falling, I didn't like how he basically just couldn't like either couldn't or wasn't willing to be more aggressive, creating advantages. And there were times like he had Pritchard on him and he wasn't aggressive. He let Pritchard like make it look like he was stopping him. He had Al Horford on him once. I think Quickly and other Knicks, Quentin Grimes, for example, need to be better at just remaining themselves in the midst of poor shooting games, because Tibbs says it all the time. You can play well without shooting well. And, maybe if you're Grimes and even Quickly sometimes, and you can probably say to yourself, okay, but Tibbs hasn't proven to me that I'm a Josh Hart type who he's just going to go to, but I do think Quickly could have done a better job of remaining aggressive off the bounce, because I think without RJ, they really needed it and they really missed. It was just too hard on Brunson and Randle without Quickly being more aggressive.
Yeah, and this is the thing that we'll never know, just like sitting here on the side, like we have no idea, is this is the third game now that we played without RJ, and in those games, every single one, I have felt that when Quick is on the floor with Randle in that bench lineup instead of RJ, that he's not aggressive, he's super deferential. Is that Tibbs? Is that Randle? Is it Quickly deferring to Randle? Like, I don't know where that instruction is coming from. And I could be totally wrong. Maybe I need to go back and watch the other two games and, oh yeah, actually, no, that's not the case. But that's what it's felt like to me watching those 3 games. And it feels like we've lost those 3 games a lot because we didn't get the bench pop that we're kind of accustomed to. So that to me is like, I don't know where the individual fault with that lies, but that is the very specific thing that they need to figure out. And, even like Brunson this year with that group, I just haven't liked. I don't know what is up with him, but he just, and I got to say, like, I don't even think it's selfishness, but like he just, it feels like he is always looking for Hart and not looking for anybody else in that group in some way. Like it's weird.
Too much time on FIBA together.
He'll like toss it to IQ to initiate something, but in terms of like drive and I'm trying to set somebody up, it feels like Hart is the guy that he just, and maybe that's because they have a good connection, so they just kind of know where each other's gonna be on the floor. But he's just got to do more to get other dudes involved, especially in that group when he's on with them. Like, and very specifically DiVincenzo, right? Like DiVincenzo, I think Quickly might and Randle were the only 2 guys that set him up today for shots. It's weird. Like, I don't know. I think Brunson's still kind of searching for the balance between his offense and distributing and all that stuff. It's nice though that he's got it going now for like 3 games in a row from the field. So the shooting at least is coming around, but you're hoping that eventually in the next couple of games here, he'll get to a better equilibrium as a playmaker as well.
Yeah. All right. Y'all have a good show. I will be tuning in. So everyone ask good questions and stuff and have a good.
See you, Jeff. The Josh Hart thing, when you talk about him being, when you talk about him overextending, being his minutes overextended, reminds me of the Alec Burks situation all over again, where if you're constantly pushing a player past, what they should be playing, their warts show that much more.
It's almost weirder because it feels like he shouldn't even, it feels weirder because he compliments them even less than he compliments the starters less than Burks even did at the time. Maybe, I don't know, because he doesn't space the floor. It's really odd. I don't get it. It is what it is. That's Tibbs' thing. I want to get to this comment. This is from EJ1. This team is honestly boring as fuck. It's nice that RJ has seemingly improved, but outside of that, not much is going on here and doesn't seem like there's much to look forward to for our future. Okay. I'm not going to respond to that. I don't agree with it. But thank you for watching and thank you for joining us. Yeah, I don't know. The Hart thing is weird, and I think Ariel Pacheco. I gotta say, I just want to be very clear too, because I tweeted out something during the game of like, man, if Grimes not going to shoot, just get him out of the fucking game. Like, that is not me not wanting Grimes in the game. Not that I got it. Most people took it the right way, and I don't think anybody really I think everybody understood what I was saying. But like, that is not an indictment of Grimes starting. It's more like, hey, dude, you're in the game, shoot the fucking ball, maybe. And not just shoot the ball, but like he'll get the ball on these, these handoffs they do, and then he dribbles it back up top, and then he just picks up his dribble and he has to wait for somebody to come and get it. And I'm like, dude, at least keep your dribble alive. Like, you don't need to pick up your dribble there. You're not even under pressure.
It seems like he's like almost like scared to like do something with the ball.
Yeah, it's really weird. And then like, so Ariel Pacheco, it's A Pacheco NBA, probably on Twitter.
I think so, yeah.
He put up a little thread after the game, or maybe right at the end of the game, about like why Grimes needs to get more minutes, especially in terms of like he needs to be a higher priority than Hart. He's like, I know that Hart put up better numbers, but like Grimes gives you value even if he is not shooting it well. Like, yes, he needs to shoot it when he gets the opportunities, but if you're thinking like, okay, how do I get enough out of Randle, and how do I create optimal conditions for Randle and Brunson? You cannot play them this much with Josh Hart, especially when so much of that is overlapping with Randle at the 4, right? Like that is so the spacing is just so not clean at all there, and it makes it a lot harder for them. And I don't know how you kind of reconcile that. I mean, like I understand today he wanted to have some size on Boston's wings. I don't know. Like, at some point, if the lineup doesn't work, it just doesn't work, and it hasn't worked now in 3 games. Like, I'm not saying it's been a disaster or it's why it's the reason they've lost those games, but it certainly has not helped them win the games. And I think they need to go to a different look if RJ is out at any point in the future. I think I would start quickly. I would see how that looks at least. But it just needs to happen.
For me, I don't think he's ever going to start quickly unless like Brunson's out, because I think he clearly, like, I think we've talked about this on multiple post games over the past couple years, but like he has like set roles for each player. So like he sees quickly as the point guard. So if the point guard is out, he is going to put quickly in the slot of that point guard. He's not going to like move, quickly to the 2 and then have Grimes at the 3 to start or anything like that. Like, he has these set roles, unfortunately, for players, and makes things very rigid in these situations. But yeah, I tweeted out every single time RJ's out, I'm like, I really don't want to start behind the 8 ball with Hart starting. Luckily, Hart was taking and making shots, which helped a little bit, but like, still, I mean, why put yourself at a deficit to begin with by starting Hart?
Yeah, I don't know. The Hart thing, again, it's very, very odd, and I don't quite get it. He's just being put in situations that like I just feel bad for him about, and like I don't think it's justifiable, or not justifiable, but it's not. It is what it is. Look, I think that you can make an argument for starting quickly. I think you make an argument for starting DiVincenzo. I just think it's very weird that the minutes for like quickly Grimes and DiVincenzo don't go anywhere when RJ is out.
But Hart's just automatically skyrockets.
Yeah, Hart's skyrocket and Randall's go way up, which like that one is actually a little bit more understandable to me, because it's like you don't have one of your shot creators. He plays the 4, right? Okay, fine. Like, I get that one, but it's just it's too much. It's too much, and I don't know. They got to get that. They the front office. I don't know. The nerds need to get to Tibbs and talk to him about it, because it is not the ideal minutes distribution when RJ is out right now. It's too much Hart, way too much Josh Hart, and it's like you weren't getting killed on the glass anyway. So what? I don't know. It was just a very weird thing.
Yeah. All right. Let me get through some of these comments. We do have quite a few rolling through. Yeah. I mean, I feel like, yeah, someone mentions Porzingis. Definitely had another huge impact on tonight's game once again in the paint. I think the Knicks barely had any points in the paint tonight. Luckily, they were able to hit a lot more of their threes. Forgot what we shot tonight from 3, but
they were like 15 of 34 or something like that,
which is closer to how we started the season, which is sort of encouraging, I guess. But yeah, I mean, the Celtics, I mean, broadcast made a huge point of this. Wally and them, they're like, oh, the Celtics length. And I mean, yeah, to a point, it was a deterrent for the Knicks. I mean, you see even Mitch tonight. Mitch only had 6 boards, um, and that was because he had to, because of Porzingis' impact,
right?
stretching the floor out, bringing him all the way out there. And Mitchell also, I mean, he still was able to get a few offensive rebounds, but the defensive glass was very missed from Mitch tonight. But yeah, I mean, let's see. We got some comments here. Jordan Bob, he says he has this interesting stat lineup: Brunson, Grimes, RJ Randall, Robinson lineup plus 20.5. Net rating: Brunson, Quentin Grimes, Hart, Randall, Robinson lineup minus 17.2 net rating, and you can see it.
Yeah, I mean, he is. Yeah, the numbers don't even really matter because the samples are small this early in the season, so it's like there's a lot of noise. But in this case, I think they're just illustrative of like what we're seeing in terms of even the actual starting lineup doesn't look great, but obviously it works. Like there's really kind of no denying that at this point, going back to last season. But yeah, like the one with Hart, it just doesn't look right. There's no flow. It's brutal. I thought the stretch that really killed the Knicks tonight was that end of the first half. Like they were up, what was it, 8, and they gave up 10 points in the last like minute and 10 seconds, and some of them were just lazy. Like that Randall one where he lets Pritchard leak out. There was was that part of the sequence too when like Hart and Hartenstein had a rebound, and I think Hartenstein knocked it out of his hand, and then it went to like somebody who threw it out to Hauser who hit a 3. Like they just shot themselves in the foot, and it was pretty unfortunate because that felt like a pretty.
Yeah, it was Holiday that got the rebound away from them, and then they kicked it out to Hauser.
Yeah,
and
so like
in the half.
Yeah, that wasn't great. It was not a good stretch. Brunson took a really bad shot at some point during that stretch. Also,
he took a lot of bad shots that went in.
Yeah, no, but this was just like a bad shot he took. But yes, he did take a lot of bad shots that went in. And Randall took it like it's this. They just killed themselves, and this actually is important because this feels like it's been an issue throughout this season. Is these end of quarter sequences, especially.
And who's usually on the court for those?
Well, yeah, the starters, right? But yeah, I don't know. That was it was very frustrating. It was very, very frustrating the end of that half, and yeah.
Chris Bernhard kind of brings up what we were talking about, the Pritchard thing. He said, I don't know if you guys notice it, but whenever Julius misses a 3, he runs into the paint, fakes going for a rebound, and then jogs back to defense while either losing his man or giving up transition buckets. I mean, with the Pritchard thing, it was completely just like he gave up. But yeah, Julius is an interesting case of a basketball player that I really hope this, experiment is over with very soon. Let's see what else we got here. Let's see. Hawkeye 420 says Thibs has been garbage in games without RJ. I get it. Celtics are the S tier of the East, but damn, did it feel like we beat ourselves from coaching to players bricking, players making dumb decisions. I think what really, really hurt us, even though like RJ wasn't here, Hart was playing insane minutes, and quickly didn't have the best game offensively. I still think we had a good chance to win, and I think what killed us is obviously Tatum going nuclear. But what really sparked that run was that 4-point play. And that was Josh Hart that fouled him on that, right?
The Tatum 4-point play.
Yeah,
that was hard. I mean, I don't know. That was like a tough. I like if he doesn't contest it, it's a 3 instead of a 4-point play.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. It just doesn't. the foul was annoying, but I don't know that I can't really kill him for that.
Yeah. But like that's where I feel like things really start to go downhill for the Knicks. Like that's when momentum fully shifted. Because like I think we still had a chance at that point.
Yeah, and I think kind of to Hawkeye's point here, I would just say like he has not. I don't like. I think for once, his initial starting lineup rotations, whatever, have actually been pretty decent this year. And actually now, when he's pivoted in the absence of RJ, it hasn't been great. I would suggest that this team is probably. I think they could use another wing option. It's always weird though, because if you bring in somebody, Tibbs, like we know his weird lineup stuff, so how will he kind of perform at that? We don't know. And so yeah, I don't know. It's definitely odd, and he has not done a good job shorthanded this year without RJ. Still willing to give it some time. I think the main thing, right, is the Hart stuff. So yeah.
Man, this is going to be
also, was it just me, or did like I felt like Hartenstein did not play enough today?
Yeah, and I don't know why.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
He wasn't in foul trouble or anything, right?
He had no fouls tonight.
That's and that's after fouling out the previous night. But yeah, he only played 14 minutes. 15 minutes, yeah. So that was weird. I feel like, if they played him a little bit more, they could have done some things maybe with his passing at the top of the key. I feel like when he plays a little bit more, that second unit. See, Thibs, like he starts doing these weird things when he's missing a player or two, where it like shifts, certain lineups and stuff like that, and shifts the way that they play within those lineups. And we didn't see that cohesive movement that we've been seeing with that second unit the last couple of games.
Yeah, there's no. This is okay. This is what it is. Like, and this is this is why I can't. I cannot buy into Julius Randle being a top option on a top team. It is what like all these high usage guys to some extent kill your flow when they come into a game, right? Because that's what they're there for. They're like, oh, I am the offense to a degree, so we don't need to like flow as much. And that's a fine give and take. But like, you just see everything. Like, I think the bench's assist rate, like with RJ or whatever on the floor this year, is at something like 70%. Tonight, I don't know how many assists they had as a group when they were on with Randle, but just between Hartenstein, DiVincenzo, quickly, those guys only had 3 assists combined. And so like, and it just, you can just see it. Like you're not flowing. There's none of those drive-in kick sequences. There was no, quickly comes and tosses a pitch to somebody. Like usually it's RJ, right? RJ takes the pistol action. He gets into the paint. He swings it to somebody. There's none of that flow. There's nothing. It was just come down the floor. Randall's posting up, or Randle wants the ball in the elbow. If that doesn't work, then quickly he's got to do a pick and roll. And it's just like, there's nothing there. They did not flow at all today. And it was really disjointed. And even with that, like in the first half, they were actually able to push the lead out, but like, it was not fun basketball to watch.
And it didn't feel sustainable either.
Yeah. It didn't, I don't know. There's just something about Julius that the usage he commands and the kind of play style he dictates, I just don't see him being good enough as a decision maker, as a player, to ever warrant that on a team that's a serious contender. And like nothing I've seen this year, unrelated to his missing or making of shots, I'm just talking about his actual decision making. Nothing I've seen of him this year changes my opinion on that. Like that's just, I still feel very strongly that's just how he is as a player. So, yeah, I don't know.
And I mean, that's a concern that we've had for years and year in and year out. And, we always have that camp that always tells us, well, look at that. He's all NBA this year. So, it's just like, but yeah, I mean, I totally agree with what you're saying. I've always been someone that says, when someone shows you who you are, believe them. Julius has shown us a million times who he is. We have to believe him no matter what, especially going into his 10th year. And yeah, I mean, it's what you were saying against the Hornets yesterday, and even against like teams like the Hornets and the Spurs. These bad teams, Julius can like do these things, but like versus these good teams, even like the best of the best, it's just not going to work. Like, it's not sustainable basketball. It's not good basketball. It's not winning basketball. So like, yeah. Oh man.
Yeah. The decision making isn't. It's just not great. And yeah, you look. Obviously, did not help that quickly. Didn't have a good game. That reduced their margin for error. Him not making shots, and on the other games where like RJ hasn't played, I think Randall has been he's kind of been a bigger issue than anybody else. Tonight, quickly didn't make shots, and I still didn't love the decision making from Randall. Or I mean Brunson. I thought he started the game off a lot better than the way he played in the second half. Some of that probably did have to do with adjustments that Boston made, so you have to give them credit in terms of switching more and everything. But yeah, I mean, as in general, I think because they did start switching more, as a group, we did not adjust to that well, and that's something that we will need to address, obviously, moving forward.
I feel like there were opportunities where they could have started matchup hunting. Like, I feel like there was a couple of times where they started to hunt at least Horford. It seemed like they were trying to get that Horford matchup because they liked it. And then they just went away from that. And I feel like that's something that that quickly really excelled in doing in that last matchup in Boston last year. Like, when the Celtics were switching a lot last year, he quickly hunted for those matchups that he liked. So it was just like you said, tonight's game was weird, and it was weird to not see those guards do that.
Well, it was also weird. Like at the end of the first half, there was a play where Brunson had Pritchard on him. And then he called for a screen. And I'm like, why are you calling for a screen? You've got Pritchard on you. You don't need the screen. Just cook Pritchard because you're running the screen to mismatch hunt. They're giving you the mismatch, man. So just take the mismatch. It was just odd. It was a very odd kind of thing to watch unfold.
Omar's bringing up Grimes shooting 40% from three. Oh, that's nice.
It's
if only
great.
If only he could take some more.
Yeah,
increase that volume.
He had one play in the play that just drove me nuts in the third quarter was he had a corner three, he pump fake drove, and then swung it to Hart at the top of the key. And Wally was like, oh, that's just really good offense. I'm like, no, that's terrible offense. Grimes' corner three is the shot you want. That's the shot you want. You don't need to pass that up to get a fucking Hart top of the key three.
Speaking of Wally, he was definitely rocking some Celtic screen tonight with trying to be as objective as possible on some clear and obvious fouls tonight. Oh, man.
Wally's, as per usual, maybe did not have his finest hour.
Let's see. What else we got here? I mean, I guess we can start talking about looking forward to our next matchup versus the Hawks. We got the Hawks when on Wednesday, right? Is that? Oh, this is an interesting question. Wildcard Frazier brings up, what Knick power forward, aside from power forward Melo from the past 15 years, would you plug in place of Randle? Zebo, Al Harrington, and I guess we can go from there.
Place of Randle. Honestly, that's the thing, though. They're like Porzingis, right? That's it. That was it. Like, other than that, really nobody. Randle, like this is the problem with Julius. It's like, or not the problem, but this is like the conundrum where he's not bad. He's obviously not.
He has the talent to be.
He's a very good
player.
He is a very good player, but how far can you go with that very good player? There's not like
who's a head case.
Yeah, and if he's going to be on this team, do you think that you would want, or would he accept playing a lower usage role next to somebody? Like, those are the questions with Julius that, for me personally, I just don't have positive thoughts on. I think pretty negatively about all of it. I don't think that he will adapt well to being a lower usage option. I don't think that he would fit in that scenario. So, and I don't think that he's bad. I just don't think that, like, if he's one of your top two guys, are you going to go are you winning? Are you contending? And if he's not one of your top two guys, is he just going to be annoyed and pissy in that role? Because I feel like he might be, and I don't want that either. So it's tough. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what. Again, the Julius conversation to me is just boring. Like, I have pretty strong thoughts on it, and I don't think anything I'm going to see this year is going to change my opinion. And certainly anything I have seen to this point has changed my year.
Everyone says you're trying to be immersed into the Bills game.
Promise you, there's nothing I would rather less be immersed in than the Buffalo Bills of 2023-2024.
Oh man, it's that bad, huh?
The season's over. They're not doing anything, so it's just playing out the string, and maybe you make the playoffs. That's about it.
Wow. Let's see. I mean, I think to this question here, not this question, but this comment here, I think we did an okay job up until the end, I would say, playing against Porzingis. Like, I thought Mitch did a pretty good job of like staying down on the pump fakes and stuff like that from Porzingis. Definitely an improvement from the way he defended him, I think, in the first matchup. But
I mean, they're just really good. Like,
yeah.
I don't. They put up 114 in regulation. Like, what do they average? I have no idea.
They're like third in offensive rating and stuff like that. So it's like,
I mean, they went 19 of 43 from three today. I think they average
44 attempts, like 16 makes a game.
Yeah, so like you held them basically to like their normal numbers there. If they make three less, you're talking about 105. Like, that's really their average, right? 16 to 43 or something like that.
Yeah.
That's like you held them to 105. You held them to 108 in the first game. I don't really think that defense has been an issue in these two matchups.
It's the offense.
And they got to figure that out, because you're not. I know that there's like, oh, they're not scoring the paint. I don't think that's the issue. I think that they are forcing too much shit in the paint. They're not trusting
the shot.
Kick. Yeah, they've got to pull the trigger on these threes. All of them. This is not just any one specific person. It's all of them. The entire team as a group. They've got to be way more decisive about, I'm open from three, I'm going to shoot the fucking ball. Because those are the shots you're going to get when you drive and kick on this team. And when they switch everything, okay, then you go to adjust. Then you go to your guy. I mean, you're allowed to slip a screen. I mean, that's kind of how you try to beat switches a lot of times. So, yeah, I don't know. It's very frustrating.
Yeah. All right. I guess we can start talking about the next matchup against the Hawks. Last time we played the Hawks, Jalen went absolutely nuclear. I'm trying to remember the rest of that game. I'm not doing a good job of remembering it. Did RJ? I think RJ had a pretty good game that game, right?
The first one?
Versus the Hawks.
Against the Hawks, yeah, he played really well in that game. That was like his best game.
Oh yeah, that was his best game. Yeah, he had a really good game. Julius was kind of meh, right? If I'm remembering correctly. Let me pull up this.
He was like score. He was like 17 something and something. I don't know. He was like 17, 12, and 5, maybe. Or he almost had a triple double that game, right? 17, 12, and 9.
Yes. Yeah, and then quickly also, let me see.
He shot really poorly in that game.
But he did have a pretty okay game, I would say, right?
Yeah, he just shot poorly, but he had everybody played well. And then they nearly farted the game away at the end. But Atlanta's
that's when Clint Capella got he smoked Mitch blocked the lob and then Trey smoked the layup. I remember it now. It's starting to come back to me. But yeah, I mean, that was just a really a high offense game that really wasn't the best Knicks defensive showing, I would say. I think the Knicks defense has improved since then, I would say. They definitely haven't been giving up 120 since then. But yeah, I think we should be able to beat this Hawks team. The Hawks had the Miami, I want to say the South Bay whatever they're called. I don't know what their G League team is called. The Sioux Skyforks, whatever they're called. That team, that's who the Miami Heat had roll into Atlanta and beat them. So I feel pretty confident if RJ's playing, especially, that I think that we'll get business done. But yeah, I feel pretty okay with this matchup against the Hawks.
Yeah, it's kind of annoying that we play them now twice on the road already this early in the season.
Yeah. I mean, this whole early season schedule is honestly ridiculous. I really want to know what the CBA was doing, and not the CBA, the NBA PA was doing in these CBA discussions to get such.
Yeah, we got what, 5
schedule.
games? 5 games in 7 days right now, right? So
yeah,
they did give us a 3-day break in between, which is weird. But yeah, we're traveling all. It's just not a great schedule for us, obviously.
Yeah, but yeah, I feel pretty good about that Hawks matchup. I mean, I feel pretty good about the rest of our matchups. I mean, we played the Wizards right after the Hawks, right? And the Wizards blew a 20+ point lead to the Raptors, who aren't really a good team right now. So I don't know, but yeah. How do you feel about the refs tonight? I feel like some people thought that they kind of started to make an issue of the game, I think, in the third quarter.
Yeah, they weren't great in the third quarter, but
because the most of the game felt pretty physical, and it started to feel like they were starting to get really selective with what they were calling for us versus what they were calling for the Celtics. And like you said, what you were about to say, on the road, it's tough to really get that whistle that you think you should get. But I don't think it really affected our players that much. I don't think there was too much complaining or crying. I feel like last year there was a lot more issues when things weren't going our way for us to start complaining and crying to the refs. But
yeah, I mean, it wasn't that bad. I don't know how it's if you want to say they got more calls than we did, sure. I mean, they're not going to disagree on that, but you're on the road at Boston. You got to expect that they're going to get a decent whistle. You're going to have to overcome that. So in that sense, I didn't feel like this game was particularly egregious or anything like that.
Schwinn, we have a question for you.
Schwinn, what's your Celtics fan father said about these 2 games versus us? I haven't talked to him after this one, but I don't know. After the first one, he was just crying that they didn't have Marcus Smart anymore. I don't know. He thinks being a Celtics fan is the hardest thing in the world, so it's really annoying.
As all Celtics fans do, they think it's really, close to being hard. Impoverished.
Yeah, it's the hardest thing anybody's ever done is being a Boston sports fan over the last 20 years. It's just been really, really hard, and we should all feel really bad for them.
All those championships.
Yeah, it's been tough. 7 Super Bowls, 3 World Series, or whatever the fuck it is. Who knows?
Couple Stanley Cups or whatever it is.
Yeah, NBA championship. So it's been a really tough time, and I hope that, for his sake, they can kind of figure it out here. It's been really rough for his mental health.
Ooh, Julius. This is a new one. This is a good one. Julius. I like that one. Poop.
Julius, this is big Chino. Julius needs a drastic reduction in on-ball reps. Him as a major ball handler is a problem. I mean, it is. There's there are going to be matchups where he kills. When you play the Hornets, he's probably going to dominate because they just have no ability to defend him. But then you play
against
a team
the
like
Wizards,
this,
probably too.
Yeah, and the thing is, even on a game like this, right? He didn't play great, but he's going to put up the certain numbers, and people are going to love that. And I don't know. It's people are going to love that part of it, but it's really hard for me when I'm watching the game at the end of it, feeling yeah, this was good, because it certainly didn't feel like it to me.
Yeah. I mean, even his good games, they're very ugly, because the stuff that he does that we talk about all the time. It's exhausting. I mean, I've been doing this. I've been doing Julius Randle negatives on the post game for years now, and it's not as fun as it was when in the beginning. I will say that.
No, it's not.
It gets really old. I didn't think it would get old, but it's gotten old. It's gotten exhausting too, because he's still here.
This is what I'm saying. I don't know what to. I don't have
say anymore.
Yeah, there's nothing.
I feel like we've said everything already. Like
everything I could possibly say or feel about Julius
has been said.
It's been said. It's been defined. It's
I
what
mean,
it
the only
is.
thing we could do is just keep coming up with nicknames like Stulius.
Yeah, no, it just is what it is. So it's tough.
All right. Next game, Hawks. We will be back for that. This was a rough one. But I think the Knicks will bounce back. They got a pretty fair schedule coming up. What is it? It is Hawks, Wizards.
We get the Miles Bridges return game next weekend, right?
Oh, that should be fun. Didn't he violate us during that
a couple years ago?
The Julius Randle poop year?
Yes, he did. Yes.
I remember that. Maybe Julius will, take it personally for various reasons. Maybe Julius really loves women and he also really wants to get revenge versus this piece of shit.
Let's hope so. Let's hope so.
All right, we'll catch you guys in the next post game. Shout out to y'all for coming through and giving us questions, comments after this Celtics game. That was pretty rough. We will be back for next post game versus the Hawks on Wednesday. Hopefully RJ Barrett's back. That will definitely make the game much more easier to at least digest. Wow, how far we've come. How far we've come, Schwinn. Last year, we were there were games where we'd be like, you know what? RJ Barrett, why don't you just sit with this one out?
Yeah, he's really turned it around and he's playing great right now. So they miss him, and this is a matchup where even last year when he hasn't been when he wasn't playing well, I always thought this was a matchup where they kind of need him because of his size in the wing. So, yeah, even more so now that he's playing probably the best ball of his career, right?
Most improved player? Should I put 5 on it?
It'll be hard. It'll be hard because Tyrese Maxey is playing.
Oh my gosh, Tyrese Maxey's insane.
Yeah,
he's probably gonna be what? All NBA this year if he keeps this up?
Yeah. Might be.
Wow.
Yeah.
Insane. But hey, quick little 5 on it. You never know. Might get a good cash out on it.
Maybe.
If things keep trending well. But yeah, shout out to y'all in the comments. Y'all always here rocking with us. Make sure y'all leave a like, make sure y'all subscribe. We're on our way to 1K subs. We are still trying to figure out this super chat thing, guys, so do not worry. We'll be back on Wednesday after the Hawks game. Hopefully that is another Knicks win. Fortunately, the next 3-game win streak is over, but maybe we can start a new one on Wednesday. So yeah, thank you guys for coming through. Make sure you guys check out all the links in the description. We got links to the site, merch, Patreon, where you can see Schwinn's show, or you can listen, or watch it too, right? There's video.
Yes, there is.
Strick and roll. And there's Jeff's show, Strictly NFL, where he would probably be talking about Schwinn's Bills and how they are not living up to expectations, most likely. And how my Giants are continuing to be pathetic. But yeah, check that out in the description. We also got links to our Twitter. Make sure you're following us on Twitter. Get all that good Strickland Twitter content. So we will catch you guys on Wednesday. Everyone have a good night. Enjoy your rest of your night and your Tuesday. Peace out. Woo.